Yo, what's going on, guys? It's CoJoMo here, back with another video. Today we're going to talk about 3 mistakes that you are making that is making your aim very bad in Counter-Strike 2. We're going to get that fixed today and make sure that you understand how to play this game like a pro and no longer have to make these really basic low-level errors in your game. This is stuff I see professional level players doing at my division, and I also see obviously new players making these mistakes. Before we get into that though, I do have to give you a message about Counter-Strike 2 skins that you should watch.
Thank you to the sponsor of today's video, Skins Monkey. They are one of the greatest and easiest to use CS2 trading sites out there. You can swap out the skins you do not like for brand new ones that are so much more fresh. Even skins that are trade locked can be secured by adding them to your backpack. The greatest thing about the site is that you can buy skins for so much cheaper with a 35% deposit bonus when you use my code CoJo. Make sure to check out the freebie section where you can get a free skin just by completing tasks. On top of the bonuses, you also get a $5 bonus when clicking the link in the description.
Alright guys, so let's go ahead and talk about the 3 mistakes that people are making inside of this game that make their aim bad. So the first mistake that I see people making is extremely simple and something that you can fix just by changing your mentality. It is literally the fact that people are changing things way too much. You might be like, what does that mean? Well, guys, when you change your sensitivity so much, you're going to inherently aim worse because you're not used to that muscle memory of the new sensitivity. It might make you feel good in the beginning, it might make you feel good at first, but if you're constantly changing sensitivity, you know, I want to play on this pro sense, this pro, you know, next week I'm playing on this, oh, now I move back to my old sense, now I'm moving to this one. You're just never going to be able to build a consistency that's going to allow you to, you know where your crosshair is, and you're gonna have to overthink about everything constantly. Instead of like being able to flick to these spots, you're gonna sit there going, okay, oh, over flick, oh, okay, over flick, under flick, oh, here, you know. So we can't build that consistency. If you play on the same sensitivity for a year plus, you're going to be so much better off than constantly switching and feeling uncomfortable. So just building that consistency is everything. A part 2 to this tip is using the same mouse. Now, I don't blame you if you want to try out a new mouse like every year or so, you know, 6 months, whatever. But so many of us get into our own heads about, oh, I need to use this mouse, this mouse, this mouse. And I get it, guys. I get a lot of mice sent to me from sponsors and all these things. And at the end of the day, it's always so tempting to play on other things. But trust me, if you can just choose a mouse and stick to it, it's everything. Because the weight of the mouse, the way it feels, is going to impact the way you aim so much, right? So I know a lot of us out there struggle with staying consistent with their mice. It's a big thing. And also, guys, at the end of the day too, it's not just your sensitivity. If you are changing your video settings and stuff constantly, it's going to impact your aim as well, because the game is going to be stretched differently, and it's just literally going to make your aim feel so much different because you're not familiar with what's going on. If you can stop being unfamiliar with your game and start familiarizing, it's a hard word, you guys know what I mean, yourself with the game, it's going to make your life so much easier. Now, if you want to make my life easier, guys, hit that subscribe button. Over 90% of my viewers are not subscribed. It means so much to me, and it will help me grow. So let's get into tip number 2 here. The second tip that I have to give you guys is focusing so hard on crosshair placement. A lot of you guys have horrible aim because you're newer players, right? And there's nothing wrong with this, but you don't know where to aim. If you're coming out in the middle here, you're just aiming at the ground, and then you're putting your crosshair somewhere. Why is this bad? Because good players are going to destroy you because they understand crosshair placement. And so essentially the way I want you to think about this is, where can people peek me? Where can they peek me, and where do I want to aim? So when you're holding an angle, say I'm on catwalk here, I want to hold where I think they're going to be head level. Now this is tricky because depending on where people swing, this is going to change. If they swing back wall, their head is one height, and if they swing up here, their head's a different height when they peek you. But in general, you want to have your crosshair predicting where your opponents are going to be, and then when you are the person peeking an angle, you want to pre-fire and kind of have your crosshair ready for this. You can do this in 2 different ways. If you know where somebody is playing, say a person's been playing up here on this spot every single round, and you know he's going to be there, what you can do is visualize that angle. And as you're peeking, right, obviously we're not going to be able to do it perfectly, but as we're peeking, we have our crosshair so that when we peek, as soon as we spot him, we can start shooting. This is pre-firing essentially, because we're like putting our crosshair in one spot. Pre-aiming, we want to just have our crosshair move around this wall. This is when we don't know where the opponent is, and we're kind of jiggling out all these angles and keeping our crosshair around the wall, because as we're peeking, we want it to be as close to that wall as possible so that we can kill people as we spot them, right? Too many new players, like I said, they're coming out long here, and instead of aiming at long corner or something like this, they're coming out long and they're looking like this, and then they shoot, right? and then they shoot. This is just a very bad habit to get into, and it's going to make your aim a lot worse. At the end of the day, we want to make our aim as simple as possible. The less we have to think about, the better with the aim. If you're sitting there having to think about flicking and doing all these things, your life is going to be very difficult versus literally just holding an angle. Boom, kill him, and then we got the frag, right? We just had to click mouse 1 and the frag's there. Too many players don't understand this, and they just hold at, you know, hold nothing. You're holding an angle, but you're holding nothing, and then you have to flick and react when all you should have to do is shoot. There's a few different ways to pre-aim as well, guys, especially if you're an opper. I'm a professional opper, so I'm going to give you an op tip here. You don't really want to hold angles super tight like this, because what's going to happen, and I fall victim to this sometimes, especially when I'm feeling unconfident, is if you're holding angles super tight like that and someone peeks wide on you, someone peeks super fast on you, from your perspective, they are going to swing past your crosshair every single time. So both with the op and rifle, it's worth it to give yourself some breathing room and predict where they're going to go. So if you're opping, holding here is good. If you're ever facing another opper, that's when you can kind of narrow in the angle, because you know he might slow peek you. But whenever you're playing like riflers, I always give myself some buffer room so that if they overswing me, I can still flick to them. But if I'm fast enough and they just jiggle peek me or something, I have the opportunity to flick like that. Don't limit yourself in those options, and make your life so much easier by doing that kind of thing. Now, the last tip, guys, the last tip I'm going to give you is stand still when you're aiming. Stand still, stop moving around so much when you're taking fights and doing these things, because it's going to be so detrimental to you. And I'll give you guys a tip, but also I wanted to let you know that I offer paid coaching services. If you want to get coached by a professional level player and help improve your game with individual personalized coaching, I do offer that now, and I think it's very beneficial for all of us out there. So check out the link in the description and fill out the form if you want paid coaching. But yeah, so stay still when you're moving, when you're shooting, right? Not when you're moving. That does make sense. But when you're taking fights against players and people around the map, too many players struggle to stop, right? So they're swinging this angle with their A key, and then instead of stopping with D and counter strafing, like going boom, instead they just like don't let go, and then they're running around here moving. I've seen it time and time again with players I've coached, where they're trying to take a fight on somebody and they just can't stop themselves from moving. One thing that you can do is utilize crouching. Now, I don't want you to get into a really bad habit, but when you're swinging an angle and you're fighting someone, crouching is a great way to make yourself stop moving and be very accurate, right? So we're crouching, boom, we're crouching. But just understand that when you do this, it can build a bad habit, and against better players, it becomes very easy to kill you, because you know you're just stuck in the ground. You're a ball in the ground now because you're crouching there, right? So good players are going to be able to punish you from that. That's where like you can start to improve your counter strafing. So you can come out here and, you know, shoot as you're not strafing to the right. So essentially we're peeking to the right here, and in between us moving back with A and unholding D. So I'm holding D here, right? And then eventually I want to hold A. I want to tap A. As we're in between both of those like inputs, that's where we take a shot and get out. So in slow motion, it looks like this. It looks like boom. You can do something like that, right? And it, obviously fast paced, you're going to be a little bit more inaccurate, and it's just going to be something you have to practice. But understanding these counter strafing movements with A and D and how that works, and it's simple as getting into a server and just practicing your jiggles, right? Practicing doing this. Practice your pre-fires like this. Practice these little jiggle peaks. This is going to be the night and day difference between you being accurate, having good aim, and you sucking with your aim. And then obviously you can use crouching as a crutch. That's definitely the easiest way for newer players to understand that stop moving while shooting. But ultimately, this is going to be something that really helps you out, because obviously a lot of you new players use SMGs and run around the map with it, and that's fine. But if you really want good aim, make your life simple and stop moving so much. Stop moving your crosshair all around and literally sit and hold an angle. Boom, 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 crouch, boom, easy. So these are some tips I wanted to share with you guys today. Let me know if you enjoyed this video. Thank you guys so much for the support. It's been amazing. I'm going to keep grinding and posting videos so that we can all learn and get better. But you guys all have a great rest of your day. Keep working hard, keep learning, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Peace out.